I know this road like the back of my hand. Same with the stations, only FM band. Farms and truck stops, fireworks stands. Yeah, I know this road like the back of my hand. Southern secrets still buried deep. Rooting and restless neath the cracked concrete. If you were from here, you would feel me to the death along with the ghost of Howard 20. I went through hell when I was younger. Deep in the well, you'll see the hunger.
Hello and welcome to another episode of True Crime Time with Molly and Cassie. I am a special co-host tonight. My name is Chad Smith, and I'm joined by my sister Molly Christine, Cassie from Oracles and Beyond, and also thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Danny Wolf, tonight. How's it going, Danny?
Hey, doing good, guys. How's everybody?
Very good. Tonight we're going to be going over the case of the ghost of Highway 20.
Okay, so the U.S. Highway 20, Oregon, is 454 miles of mostly blacktop. It starts at Highway 101 in Newport, running through Corvallis, Albany, Lebanon, Sweet Home, Santiam Pass, Sisters, Oregon, Genturaville, Janissa. Many off-pavement logging roads are hidden along this rural, forest-filled route.
The ghost of Highway 20 is about a number of women who were assaulted, murdered, and mysteriously disappeared. They were taken missing along the Highway 20 route all the way from the 1970s to the early 1990s. One man who worked this route during this time as a highway maintenance worker is believed to be the subject who committed these heinous, horrible crimes. His name was John Arthur Ackroyd. From the outside, Ackroyd seems to lead an ordinary life. He was born in 1949. There's a picture of him here. That's not him.
Actually, we don't have that prepared yet. Sorry about that. I'll pull it up afterward.
We'll show you a picture of the guy here. He was raised in a small town of Oregon. He hunted and fishes. He had a steady job. He married a woman with 2 kids, and he started working for the Oregon Department of Transportation in 1977. And he learned all of the desolate roads and all the little cutoffs and everything, and was very well attuned to that area.
Marlene Gabrielson is the first known victim of John and only one to survive. In 1977, 20-year-old Marlene went to Sisters, Oregon for the state rodeo with her new husband. Marlene had given birth 3 months earlier and needed a night out and wanted, as a new wife and mother. Being young and having a few drinks, the new couple got into an argument. Marlene's husband wanted to branch off and hang out with friends, and Marlene just wanted to go home to her baby. She headed out of the campground to Highway 20 at about midnight, when an old beat-up truck stopped and offered her a ride. The driver was John Arthur Ackroyd. Marlene had hitched plenty of rides before, not thinking twice about getting in. The only thing on her mind was getting home to her kid. Marlene noticed that there were no covers on the doors, no handle to roll the windows down, and no handle to roll the window down. It didn't even faze her that she was trapped. After driving for about an hour, Marlene soon fell asleep and not noticing the truck pulling off to an old wagon road. Trigger warning. Marlene was soon awoken to a hunting knife to her throat. She was dragged into dark woods, and her clothes and boots were cut off of her. After being brutally assaulted, Aykroyd questioned what he would do with Marlene. At this point, Marlene was going to say anything she could to get home to her baby. She said that they could see each other again. She asked John to please drop her off at her mother-in-law's house in Lebanon. Marlene's mother-in-law was shocked at the sight she opened the door to. She tried to shower Marlene, but there was no way in hell Marlene was going to wash away any evidence. She begged for authorities to be called. Although there was plenty of evidence, including a rape kit, torn up clothes, bruises, and scrapes, police did not prosecute John. If Marlene had been believed, she could have been the only victim, and at least 5 other women would still be alive.
In 1978, Kay Turner and her husband Noel spent the holidays with friends at camp at Sherman, Oregon. Kay, she was 35, and she was from Eugene, Oregon. She was a staff resource manager for social services. She was an avid runner and climbed 2 high mountains. In the early morning of Christmas Eve, she decided it was time to head out for a jog around 8 a.m. before breakfast. She had planned to do a run for about an hour on the 2-lane road, and then she was spotted running by a highway worker who lived at the campground. Thomas Hanna, he also reported driving past the highway worker, was John Arthur Aykroyd. When not returning home by 10, Kyle, husband, became worried, so he searched the campground, fearing his wife had been kidnapped. Police were soon notified, and a search was put in place for Kay. Soon learning about the 2 extranormal affairs Kay was having with co-workers, police already suspected Kay's husband for her disappearance, who had gotten off of work at Sanitation Junction, was questioned, and he told the authorities he was there to hunt coyotes at that time. Police did not suspect him. During the search for Kay, 2 sets of footprints were found in the frozen snow, one being Kay's Nikes, the others being a large man. The scene demonstrated a scuffle had been made, the smaller person being dragged. In 1979, Aykroyd had stated to the police he found Kay's remains. She was located a half-mile off the road where she had been jogging. She had been kidnapped and murdered. Being that very little was found at this location, scraps of her clothes, some scattered bones, police were surprised that Aykroyd came to this conclusion that it was Kay. He also made a statement that he was the last person to see Kay. Details emerged over time from Aykroyd that he claimed to talk to her before picking up an old friend and fellow hunter Roger Dale Beck, who lived in the Camp Sherman area. Aykroyd even claimed he saw Kay's remains 2 months after her disappearance, but never reported a sighting. Aykroyd was convicted of assaulting and murdering Kay in October 1993 in Jefferson County by grand jury, and he received a life sentence. Beck, who had bragged to his family about helping to kill Kay, was found guilty in November of 1993 in a separate jury trial. Testimony from his ex-wife helped prosecute him.
Rashonda Pickle, known as Shani to her family, started showing signs of abuse when she was 13 years old. Her friends stated she would beg them to stay over, and she didn't want to go home around her stepdad, John Arthur Aykroyd. Rashonda and her older brother Byron lived with their mama, Linda, and her husband Aykroyd at the State Highway Division campground at Santiam Junction. It was a 30-minute drive to the nearest store. A dozen families called the junction home, but very few kids, and none were Shani's age. Rashonda's mother married John in the mid-'80s, but they soon got divorced. For financial reasons, Linda remained living with John and her 2 children. In the 5th grade, Rashonda's life turned dark. She suffered in school. She seems not to go home with friends as much as she could. Her two best friends soon finding out her dark secret. Rashonda was being assaulted by her stepdad. On the morning of July 10th, 1990, Rashonda braided her mother's hair for work. Linda and John then headed out the door, not being expected back till afternoon. Rashonda was left with a list of chores for the day by her mother before leaving. That was the last time her mother ever saw her. Aykroyd's story was he dropped off Linda at work, and then he went to work at the maintenance shop in Bend. No parts showed up, so he went home early. He claimed he invited Rashonda to go on a drive on the back roads at the junction to photograph deer. He said Rashonda declined, saying she had chores to do. Aykroyd said he had left the house, returning a couple hours later, and he said when he arrived home, no one was there. Linda noted Rashonda wasn't home to greet her as she usually was, and no chores were done. The house showed no signs of foul play. Rashonda never took off without leaving a note. Linda later noted that John forced her to have a sexual relation that night when she questioned him about her daughter's whereabouts, which was really weird because they didn't have that kind of relationship anymore. She said he seemed so aroused about her daughter's disappearance and talking about it, which shows how sick this man really was. Aykroyd told Linda she'd have to wait 24 hours until she could call authorities. The next morning, the dispatcher yelled, "No, not with children." Deputies were sent out the next morning where they found Aykroyd painting the tailgate of his pickup. The deputies said they thought that was very odd. Was he trying to cover up something? That was their thoughts. John was grilled for hours. His explanation of what happened to her was someone must have come and hit her over the head and threw her over their shoulders and carried her out without anyone seeing. And he wondered out loud if Rashonda had been dumped and buried in the woods, or threatened, tied up, gagged, her body rolled in plastic. The detectives said they believed that Aykroyd hurt Rashonda, stuffed her in a garbage bag, and hauled her away. Aykroyd kept impassive, and he stuck to his story. Aykroyd never came through about what happened to Rashonda or where she was. Rashonda was never found. Aykroyd was never charged for the disappearance of Rashonda and took the truth with him to his grave.
Melissa Sanders and Sheila Swanson. In early 1992, Aykroyd split with Linda, moving back home to his mom. He transferred out of Stadium back to Sweet Home. He continued working for the highway out of Corvallis. Sometimes.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Corvallis.
That is
No,
it. No, I'm a preschool teacher. Sometime after moving, Aykroyd was driving around town with his friend's daughter in a truck, and she saw two of her friends walking. They quickly stopped and were introduced and offered a ride. The teens, Melissa Sanders, 17, and Sheila Swanson, 19, quickly accepted. The two ladies often hung out at a local sherry restaurant, and John made sure to show up and chat them up, letting them get to know him. Within weeks, Melissa and Sheila were dead. Melissa and Sheila were both scrappy teens, seemingly streetwise. They didn't know then that Aykroyd was a suspected killer who had frustrated authorities for more than a decade. The two young women knew nothing of Aykroyd's sinister background before entering their lives. Melissa and Sheila had gone on a camping trip with Melissa's family at Beverly Beach State Park. The camping trip was supposed to mean family time, but being teens, they got bored. After making a few phone calls to their boyfriends to catch a ride home, they were turned down. So, late that night, the young women began to hitchhike. The next morning, Melissa's parents found the girls' tent empty, and the parents packed up camp, assuming the girls had gotten a ride home with friends. When arriving to an empty house, Melissa's parents first called Sheila's mom, who had not seen the girls either. Now the parents began to worry, but waited a couple of days because the girls were known to be off with friends. The parents decided it was time to contact authorities, and soon FBI was involved. Sadly, the families didn't know. The girls were probably already dead. That fall, hunters found the two young ladies' bodies dumped off the highway along John Aykroyd's route. Weeks after the girls' disappearance, John was arrested for Kay Turner's murder of 1978. The case against Melissa and Sheila was dropped, being Aykroyd was already in prison for Kay, and it would be too costly to prosecute him.
John Arthur Aykroyd. Who was John Arthur Aykroyd? Aykroyd was born in Sweet Home, Oregon. His father, a maintenance man, his mother worked in the office of the local police department. He was the middle child of two sisters. One old schoolmate recounts the time John was a child and his family dog had puppies. John had taken a hammer and his parents found all the puppies dead, with John saying, "If I can't have them, no one will." If he was known as a loser in school, he was known as a loser in school and was often bullied. He graduated high school with an indication of being in special education. After being in trouble with the law for theft, he enlisted in the Army. He was trained as a mechanic, but got into trouble for stealing equipment. In 1977, he became an employee at State Department Highway 20 as the highway mechanic. He was responsible for helping people who broke down and highway maintenance, so he knew all the back roads on that route. He was arrested for the murder of Kay Turner in 1992. It is thought that there are more than 4 women murdered by the hands of John. Others are still missing, and some bones were found along the route identifying some of the missing. John died in Oregon State Penitentiary in 2016 at the age of 67 from health reasons. He took many dark secrets with him, not giving up who all he murdered or where Rashonda's whereabouts are. So thank you guys for hanging out with us on this episode of True Crime Time with Cassie and Molly. Thank you, Danny Wolf, for joining us tonight, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like with this case here, I remember this case a long time ago. There were lots of different things involved in this that I don't know if they ever made it public or anything, but so we'll say allegedly. Allegedly, he was caught at work a few times, cleaning his knives off and washing blood off of towels and stuff.
Jeez.
And he claimed that they were from coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
He was hunting coyotes. But, of course, no one really, like, people thought he was a little bit weird for doing stuff like that. But nobody really thought that he was going around killing people at that time, right?
Right.
But there was 4 different times at the stations where he'd stop, get out of his vehicle, bring in bloody stuff, and wash it off in the sink at work. And say, "Oh, I hit a deer," or "Oh, I was cleaning up a coyote," stuff like that. I don't know if that ever got like put out there for public to see all that or not.
Right.
It's interesting that he would do that right in his workplace.
But yeah, so like he very, very bold, very, like he obviously wasn't suffering from shyness or anything. But like he'd do strange things like that all the time, and people never really put 2 and 2 together at that time. No, Carol, he died in prison from illness
in 2016.
I think he was 67. I think it said
90. I think it was in the 90s that he died. 97, I think it was.
2016.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah, 2000.
And he was 67.
Okay,
Yep.
But things like this would come up because one thing most people don't realize is that about 10%, I would guess around 10% of any serial cases or stuff like that goes to the council, um, for the specific reason that they want to limit, not that anyone believes, okay, put that way, but they want to limit that there might have been some kind of a paranormal influence on the attacker, right? Or they want to rule out any paranormal thing that might have caused it, right? And also the other reason for it is because it'll give them an idea if there's um, anything that the person might turn around and say, "Oh, well, I was being this or that." They want to find out if there's any evidence, or be pre warned that they might claim this as a defense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to look at the different things that it could be, and a lot of the times it's stuff that's in the rural area that comes to where people like myself would view this and do some investigation to see if whether or not there could be any plausible reason for the actions, not to dismiss the action, but to see if there was some other thing that they might use as a defense.
Browndorf thinks the man was possessed by the devil. Straight up. Could have been.
No, he was just a beephole.
Yeah, just a.
No, he was just a beephole. There was no. It was checked into to make sure there was no Wendigo, make sure there was no scythe or wrath influence. There was nothing like that. There was no evidence of anything paranormal involved in that whole thing. But a lot of different councils wanted just to rule it out because of it was the victims and the different things and the people that were missing were all cross-cultured, right? Which is always a red flag for, there was some evidence that there were some red flags that they just wanted to eliminate that possibility. So,
yeah.
Right. It's pretty unbelievable that what people are capable of to other humans.
Yeah. I can't remember. I think it was, what was it, Mark Twain? Maybe I can't remember exactly. I think it might have been Mark Twain. I said, we do not, as humans, we do not need a devil because we are capable of very evil stuff on our own.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, Cassie and Molly, do you guys have anything else?
The waiting 24 hours to report someone missing is no longer a thing, even for adults. Just a heads up.
Oh, wait, what is it? Waiting 24 hours for what?
Waiting 24 hours to report someone missing. It used to be a thing.
Oh, yeah.
But is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Now it's just like.
Now, once you notice someone's missing, report it.
It used to be if a person was an adult, you had to wait 24 hours just in case they went to a party or something,
Yeah.
But now it's if anyone does something that is not normal, say they're a very punctual person and they don't show up, you can report that within 2 hours.
Yes.
Aunt Peg must be a little far behind.
Not the puppies.
She just said, not the puppies.
No, crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
How dark. Mentally ill he was, right, guys?
Oh, yeah. Messed up.
That's like I said at a Greenpeace meeting one time, just to see what kind of looks I'd get. I yelled out, "Save the whales! Collect the whole set!" And
so like, it's just really sad. It's sad that.
Yeah, like when I was reading all about this, I'm like, man, it's this true crime thing. It's amazing to hear what people are actually capable of. It's like you're on the same road with these people and you have no idea who you're driving alongside.
Right.
That's it. I mean, you gotta be, you got to be aware. Like there's a lot of really nasty people out there. Simple as,
That's right.
And
I wouldn't. There's no way I would check. Sorry.
I do believe in possession. I do believe, because that was my work for a long time. Though I do believe in spirit manipulation and stuff like that, 99% of the times it's just the person's bad, you know. So
Yeah.
And like, why didn't he kill the first one? Why didn't he kill the first one? Why did he kill all the rest? And not, I'm not saying he should have. I'm just saying,
Right.
like, what made it so
Right.
different with Marlene?
with Marlene, she was very aware that her death was imminent. Okay, she knew that she was done, right? So she made like, hey, you know what? We can get together again. Maybe we should get together next week, sort of a thing, and we can be friends and everything else.
Mm.
And basically, because he was self-centered as much as he was, you know, she turned around. Oh, this was a great time, sort of a thing, and she said and did whatever she had to do and say to get her ass out of there. And
Right.
it was her quick thinking and her bravery of saying, hey, look, you know what? Let's make this a thing. Maybe we can do this again next week, sort of a deal. And
Right.
actually convinced him, you know,
Gave her
because
some hope.
his ego likes that reassurance, right? His ego likes to be stroked. And she caught on to that right away. And because of her quick thinking, that's the only reason that woman's alive,
Yeah.
you know.
Because I
agree
think
with
I
that
would have
too.
went into panic mode. I think I probably would have went into panic and shock mode, and like she stayed. I guess she stayed good and calm, and she
Yeah.
wanted to get home.
She wanted to go home to her child. She just gave
Oh, yeah.
birth not long ago. She just had a baby at home.
Oh,
The only thing going through her mind at the time was, what can I do to get home to raise my child? Right. The only thing that her mind, she wasn't focusing on what happened to her.
Right.
The only thing that she focused on was getting home to her newborn child. And that is exactly what saved her life, was her
For sure.
bravery and her love for her child. That's what's got her home, nothing else.
I like what Carol said here too, talking about the other girls. When he found out that she lied, that's when he was like, okay, well, if the other girls are saying the same thing and this other girl said this and she lied to me, then these other girls are probably lying too. You know, so that's when he was like, no more trust in them.
You know, well,
That's true.
I don't think he trusts them at all anyway, you know. I think it's just that she was very smart the way she worded stuff, you know.
Right.
And she never said her. Like when she was talking to him, it was all him. And when she
True.
did,
He bought into his narcissistic.
and whenever she did mention himself, she only referred to herself as we. She never said me, and she said we. It was always like whenever she had to say anything about herself, she made it him too. You know? And I think basically that's the real reason she got out of there.
Yeah, I can see that.
She was only 20 years old too. So smart. 20 years old.
Yeah, and she managed to get out of there, you know. And really, anything she did or didn't do wouldn't have changed what he was going to do in the future, right?
Yeah.
Like if he was going to kill people and take people off in the bush and everything else, I mean, how many times are you going to do that if you're that type of person and risk someone else talking?
That's true.
Yeah. Like, no way. He's going to, you know, like he doesn't want to leave, you know, witnesses or anything. Not if he's planning on, and who knows how many times he actually did it between then.
That's right.
Right. So it's basically,
Gosh, Chris.
he did what she had to do to survive, and I applaud her for that. You know, I think that was very brave. So,
Absolutely.
You know, he was going to do what he was going to do anyway, regardless of what she did.
Right. Yep, I believe that too. Oh, thank you, My Flock, for that 99-cent super sticker.
Thank you.
Well, cool, guys. I don't have anything else unless you guys
do.
Do
you think it would be different if you? Do you think it would be like? Do you think it maybe it would have ended differently if it happened today? Like, would he have gotten, you know, away with?
I think if it happened today, people would be more aware. Like, I mean, I think the world's just so much different now, and people they have their head on swivel more.
Right.
I don't know. For some reason, I just feel like today would be a different story because they'd be a little bit more aware of what's going on with all the human trafficking going on all the time in the news. And I just feel like women are a little bit more aware of their surroundings now, where it's like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and in some ways, I think it'd be different because people are a lot more aware of stuff. But sharing stuff, people don't do that anymore. You know, they bury their head in the sand and they don't want to be a part of it, and they don't want to have 50 people coming to them saying that they're nasty because they said something about something else, right?
yeah,
So in some ways, it's better because people are more aware of the differences and things that happen, and I think a program like this is a good idea because it gives people a chance to see that look at this crap can happen, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
But on the other hand, people sharing information that can be taken this way or that way, people just zip their mouths now because there's too many people jumping on every topic there is, both for good and bad reasons, right? And I think people are more nervous to say their opinion today than they were 30 years ago. Like today, you're afraid to say a lot of different things, right? Depending on the subject matter, you know, like you can't speak out about certain things because another 10 people are going to jump on you for it, you know, or there's a lot of that goes on too. So I don't know if it would be
I
depending
would
on
just like
depending on the point of view of the thing. I think.
I would like to hope that the police would take someone more seriously the first time around than they did then, but
That's true. Yeah, that was kind of screwed up.
Yeah, that whole thing wasn't good. And then you know what? It wasn't because of ethics. You know, like people will say, "Oh, it's because of nationality, or it's because of this, or it's good." No, it's because the whole circumstance of how it happened, and
Mhm.
you don't know what the mother-in-law was saying when the police came, right? Like this lady's talking about she was abused and everything else. Well, maybe the mother whispers, well, she's married to my son and she doesn't want to get in trouble. Like,
Yeah.
how do you know? Look,
Mhm.
you'll never know what really happened there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
You know, because the mother, I know for a fact, the mother tried to get rid of all the evidence and tried to wash her down and tried to force
Right.
her not to report it. Okay.
Mhm.
You got to remember back then, cheating was a horrible offense and getting
Mhm.
raped was a horrible offense. It was a victim crime, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So the woman who got raped was the bad guy in a lot of cases, right? Which
Yeah.
makes no sense, but that's the
Must
way.
have been asking for it.
Yeah, that's the way it was looked at a lot of times, right?
insane. Yeah,
So if you're say you put yourself in an investigator's place, you're going to do this investigation, and the mother-in-law is saying, casting doubt on the story.
hmm
Who do you blame, really? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
should, in my opinion, the police should have looked really deep into it and really got involved, you know, just to prove or disprove what happened, right?
right.
But I do believe that there was other influences there that uh, were never published.
hmm
Exactly.
But yes, in my honest opinion, the police should have dug into that real deep and seen what the hell was factual, what wasn't, what was, you know,
Yeah,
a mother trying to protect her son because you know she didn't want all her son's friends and everybody to know that his wife was attacked and blah 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 blah. You know,
Mhm.
so there's a whole bunch of stuff that you will never get the true answers for. But in my opinion, yeah, the police should have dove right into it. But
yeah, they definitely did not do anywhere near enough work.
no, they didn't do it. Definitely not. You know, but
Yeah.
that's just my opinion for what it's worth. You know?
Allegedly.
Thanks for sharing your opinion there, Danny.
Yeah, it's just my opinion. It's got nothing to do with the station or the other people on this channel. It was all of you. Okay, it had nothing to do with the channel or the stations.
we got to get a true crime channel disclaimer
That's it. That was
made
all
up.
on me, right? So,
Well, thanks everybody for being here. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and also leave a comment after the video is over with so that it helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And this is going to be in every Sunday live stream.
And let us know if you want us to come back next Sunday, you know.
Yeah, let us know how we did.
And I just have. Sorry, what?
Nope, go ahead.
I was gonna say my ending.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Just one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
Murderers, stop murdering people. Everyone dies eventually. Just be patient.
See you next Sunday, guys. Love you. Peace.
Bye, everyone.